Hi, thank you so much for coming to the poetry reading. If you've never been here before, I'm the Love Witch, and tonight we are just going to read 10 poems about love that I think are really beautiful. Okay, and I have them in this book. It's also my spell book. It also has this little lock. So no one steals my spells. Okay. Okay. The first one that I'd like to read you is called Since There's No Help by Michael Drayton. Since there's no help, come let us kiss and part. Nay, I have done, you get no more of me. And I am glad, yet glad with all my heart, that thus so cleanly that thus so cleanly myself I can free. Shake hands forever, cancel all of your vows. And when we meet at any time again, be it not seen in either of our brows, that we one jot of former love retain, now at the last gasp of love's latest breath, when his pulse failing, passion speechless lies, when faith is kneeling by his bed of death, and innocence is closing up his eyes. Now if thou wouldst, when all we have given him over, from death to life thou mightst him yet recover. What do you guys think of that one? Do you find that particularly romantic? The next one I'd like to read is called How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. There we go. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being an ideal grace, I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with the love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. I really like that one. That one's a classic. I think there is something beautiful about saying you will love them even more in the afterlife, truly together forever. The next one I'd like to read is called Love's Philosophy by Shelley. The fountains mingle with the river, and the rivers with the ocean. The winds of heaven mixed forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single, all things by a law divine. In one spirit meet and mingle, why not I with thine? See the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What is all this sweet work worth if thou kiss not me? stirs this mortal frame, all but are ministers of love, and feed his sacred flame. Oft in my waking dreams do I live over again that happy hour, where midway on the mount I lay, beside the ruined tower. The moonshine stealing over the scene had blended with the lights of eve, and she was there, my hope, my joy, my own dear Genevieve. All. She leaned against the armed man, the statue of the armed knight. She stood and listened to my lay amid the lingering light. Few sorrows hath she of her own, my hope, my joy, my Genevieve. She loves me best whenever I sing the songs that make her grieve. I played a soft and doleful air, I sang an old unmoving story, an old rude song that suited well that ruin wild and hoary. She listened with a flitting blush, with downcast eyes and modest grace, for well she knew I could not choose but gaze upon her face. I told her of the knight that wore upon his shield a burning brand, and that for 10 long years he wooed the lady of the land. I told her how he pined in awe, the deep, the low, the pleading tone with which I sang another's love, interpreted my own. She listened with a flitting blush, with downcast eyes and modest grace, and she forgave me that I gazed too fondly on her face. But when I told the cruel scorn and that crazed that bold and lovely knight, and he crossed the mountain woods, nor rested day or night, that sometimes from the savage den, and sometimes from the darksome shade, and sometimes starting up at once in green and sunny glade, there came and looked him in the face an angel beautiful and bright, that he knew was a fiend, that miserable night. And that unknowing what he did, he leapt amid a murderous band, and saved from outrage worse than death the lady of the land. And how she wept and clasped his knees, and how she tended him in vain, and ever strove to expiate the scorn that crazed his brain, and that she nursed him in a cave, and how his madness went away, when on the yellow forest leaves a dying man he lay. Oh, his dying words, but when I reached the tender strain of all the ditty, my faltering voice was pausing harp disturbed her soul with pity. All impulsive soul and sense had thrilled my guileless Genevieve, the music and the doleful tale, and rich and balmy eve, and hopes and fears that kindle hope in undistinguishable throng, the gentle whispers long subdued and cherished long. She wept with pity and delight, she blushed with love and virgin shame, and like the murmur of a dream, I heard her breathe my name. Her bosom heaved, she stepped aside, as conscious of my look she stepped. Then suddenly, with timorous eye, she fled to me and wept. She half closed me with her arms, she pressed me with a meek embrace, and bending back her head, looked up and gazed upon my face. 'Twas partly love, and partly fear, and partly 'twas a bashful art, that I might rather feel than see the swelling of her heart. I calmed her fears, and she was calm. I told her love with virgin pride, and so I won my Genevieve, my bright and beauteous bride. That was nice. This next one is A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like a melody that's played sweetly in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love I am, and I will love thee still, my dear, till the seas gang dry. Till the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run, and fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. That's sweet. What do you think? I like doing poetry readings. So, this next one is by Edgar Allan Poe, who is a little bit of a goth. was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that winged seraphs of heaven and laughed aloud at her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in his kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went laughing at her and me. Yes, that was the reason, all men know in this kingdom by the sea. That wind came out of a cloud that night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the laughter in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of my beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. It's true what they say, love hurts, but it's worth it. Without love, what are we? This next one is called Whoso List to Hunt by Sir Thomas Wyatt. Whoso list to hunt, I know where is a hind, but as for me, alas, I may no more. A vain travail hath wearied me so sore. I am one of them that farthest cometh behind, yet may I by no means my wearied mind draw from the deer. But as she fleeth afore, fainting I follow, I leave off therefore, since in a net I seek to hold the wind. Whose list her hunt, I put him out of doubt, as well as I may spend time in vain. Engraven with diamonds and letters plain, there is written her fair neck round about, Noli me tangere, for Caesar's I am, and wild for to hold, though I seem tame. Another example of how love can hurt. To love and be loved is a blessing. This is called To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. Had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness, lady, were no crime. We would sit down and think to which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian gang's side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversation of the Jews. My vegetable love should grow faster than empires and more slow. 100 years should go to praise thine eyes, and on thy forehead gaze. 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest. An age at least to every part, for the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at a lower rate. But at my back I always hear Time's winged chariot hurrying near. Sorry, I read that. And yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound no my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Now therefore, while the youthful hue sits on my skin like morning dew, while the willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may, and now like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in the slow chapped power. Let us all roll our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasures with rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus we cannot make our son stand still, yet we can make him run. I think that one is a bit interesting because it's a little against the norm of that era where he's saying we might as well have fun while we're alive. Okay, this next one is Bright Star by John Keats. Kind of reminds me of Big Star by Lord. Bright star, would I were so steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night, and watching with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient, sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure absolution around the earth's human shores, or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountain and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft and fall and swell, awake forever in sweet unrest, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live ever, or else swoon to death. Okay. This next one is very, very popular. It's Sonnet 116 by Shakespeare. I'm sure you've all heard it. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star of every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, through rosy lips and cheeks, within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. I feel like that one's less surface level and more of more transcendent. But I don't know exactly what it would be. But thank you all so much for coming to the poetry reading. I hope you had a really nice evening. It was nice to see you all, especially you, which it looks like the love spell I gave you is working